happened in it.
Okay, I'm back. Donna was amazing. That was so cool. And now it's not special music anymore. I made an executive decision. And now it's called Sharing Gifts. Because Clara told me that's what it was called. I'm joking. I was running ideas. It's not just music. We all have something to share with each other. And the hardest thing to overcome is, I guess, the courage to do it. And the courage to share with each other. It's hard enough now in this culture just to talk to each other at anything below a media-generated level. To talk about what your fears are, what your doubts are. And that's just about culture, let alone get down to what your fears and doubts about God are. If we even know. You know what I mean? I'm drinking water because I almost passed out while I was singing. And because your body needs water. And what it comes down to is being generous enough with what God has given you to share with others. And it's a heart. And does it even matter that Donna just sang? I say yes. I say 100%. That was beautiful. It encouraged me. It helped me. Just her bravery to get up there and sing. She has a beautiful voice, but it's not always easy. It's not easy just to be vulnerable and be who you are. It's not easy to step back and to be patient and to be forgiving and to be merciful. And that's being generous. But does it really matter? Does it matter? And this is what I mean by matter. I don't mean, say you're going to whatever your favorite thing is. I'm sure it's church, but that's a joke. Church is never on anybody's top 10 list of things to do. For some reason. I don't get it, but you're going somewhere to whatever your favorite club is, wherever your favorite dining hall is, whatever your favorite kids, grandkids. I mean, something that's spectacular. This is what I mean by matter. You're going down the road, and all of a sudden you hit bridge out. Your favorite thing is on the other side of the bridge. So, does it matter to you what that sign says? And what I mean by matter is, does it affect you? Yeah, me too. I don't care if the fried chicken is on the other side of that bridge. I'm not going across. What Satan's going to tell you is it doesn't matter, right? That's what he told Eve. He said, did God really put that bridge up, that sign? Did he really say that? He doesn't have your bet. It's not really out. If you look just to the left there, there's just a cone. Your car will go right over that cone. You don't have to trust. Did God say that? He doesn't have your best interest at heart. He's trying to keep you down. That's what I mean by matter. Does it affect the way you live? I'm told a billion things that matter, and none of it really matters. Because it doesn't affect the way I interact with God. It doesn't affect my relationship with God. Which affects my relationship with people. I mean, does politics bring us together, or does it just cause us to argue about things we don't know? God says don't. God says our highest goal is to love each other and be unified, to be generous with who we are. Sure, sit down, have a discussion, get heated, get your favorite barley pop, and, talk more. Knowing that your love for each other and Jesus is in God's love for you is the deepest part of anything. Anything else is going across the bridge. That's what matters means. And so then I bring it back to generosity again. Does it matter? Because Jesus said this, sell all your possessions and give to the poor. And that includes your favorite little Santa Claus collection, which I would never sell. Not in a million years would I sell that thing. Look at that. I have to look there because for some reason this is messing up, but there's some cool Santas in there. Is that a bridge out sign? He said in Luke 12, you would think I didn't even have anything set up today the way I'm. There you are. Hi, Santa. Luke 12, Jesus said, don't be afraid, little flock, and we're a little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. It's on your sheet. And it says, sell your possessions and give to the poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will never fail, where no thief comes near, no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And that's the key, isn't it? Generosity has nothing to do with money. Money's in there. Generosity is about your heart. Generosity is about what kind of a person you are as you follow Jesus. Not what kind of a person you are without Jesus. What kind of a person you are with Jesus. He's really saying that because it's a way for you to figure out what you're attached to. Who here honestly is going to sell everything they have today? We're reading this. Jesus said it. Bible. Command. Sell everything you have and give it to the poor. Anybody really? No. None of us are. We're going to hold people, the things we understand is what we hold other people accountable to, like, don't do this or don't do that. We're going to hold them accountable for their behavior based on what we can do. But this, we're not going to hold anybody accountable for that because no one's going to do it. And it's not, you're not meant to. How about this one? This is Matthew 5. And it's, I'm losing connection with the thing. It's in Matthew 5. It says, if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off. Right? That's a command from Jesus. Just think about what that says just for 1 second. Okay, I want you to pretend that you're giving a sermon and all of a sudden, hey, Ed. Hey, Ed, after you're done preaching, go rob a bank. Shut up. No, really, you need the money. Your family needs it. Shut up. And you know, does your right hand really cause you to sin? Or is it your heart? In your mind? And there is an explanation for why he's saying that, and it's another sermon, and I'd say it now, but then I would lose a chance to preach on that. Your right hand doesn't cause you to sin any more than a gun kills people. People kill people using guns. We all know that. I'm not jumping into politics here. Would it be nice if there were less psychos with guns? 100%. 100%. Your right hand doesn't cause you to sin. We know that, right? We know that. Can you be generous with your common sense? Can you be generous with your common sense? And what I mean is that step, that breath that you take before you annihilate your friends and other Christians and everybody else and other political parties, other ideologies, everything else. Can you figure out that there and you are under a spell by the media and by being human where you don't judge them, you don't throw them out, you don't, no matter who they are, as a follower of Jesus, you don't throw them out in your mind. You don't condemn them. We studied that last week. Jesus said, this is what Paul said based on Jesus' teachings. He said, whatever you give is acceptable if you give it eagerly. And give according to what you have, not what you don't have. Of course, I don't mean your giving should make life easier for others and hard for yourselves. I only mean there should be some equality. That's Paul interpreting Jesus. Because it's a matter of the heart. Do you want to give? He says in another place, don't give under compulsion, which means that you have to give. Okay, that's the law when it said you have to give 10%. That was the law. Actually, they had 3. So you had to give 30%, but chunked up into tens. That's compulsion. That means if you give, you're not being generous, you're being compelled. Generosity is from your heart. Compulsion is from the law or something outside yourself. You understand that, right? You're not being generous. You have to. So anytime you hear somebody say you have to give this, you don't. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. He died for you. He loves you. Oh, I only could give 9%. That means you're going to hell. You see how silly and illogical compulsion is. And what Jesus did was flip the script. It doesn't matter what you give if you give it eagerly. If you want to give. That's what generosity is. It's a sharing of gifts. It's Donna singing to you something that she has that God has given her. Even if I sing to you and God did not give me the gift of singing, which I hope you all figured out like first bar in. But, every once in a while you need a country song to start the service. A little victory in Jesus. Whatever you give is acceptable. And life is giving. When you follow Jesus, life is giving. So if you give nothing, and you know you give nothing, then you need to sit with yourself and God and figure out what's going on. Doesn't mean that the kingdom isn't yours. The kingdom is not based on giving except for one person. Jesus gave his life for you. And everybody else is going to try to control you after that. Jesus set you free. The Spirit is, the freedom is. So whatever you give, does it matter? Does it change your life? Giving. Generosity. And really what it means, does it change your life? What has Satan convinced you is so important in your life that you won't change? You won't give it up? That's really what it comes down to. What is so important that if Jesus came down and sat right here and said to you, give that up, you would say, I can't. And we all have it. And I don't want to know yours because I'm still struggling with mine. That's what doesn't matter mean. Generosity is something that as a Christian, we have that heart. We have the heart that gives. We have a heart that shares. We have a heart that's patient. We have a heart that's thankful. We have a heart that's forgiving. We have a heart that's merciful. But we also have another part of our heart. That's not all those things. Jesus said to a rich young ruler, too. Remember the rich young ruler? Thought he had everything. Came up to Jesus and said, hey, how do I have eternal life? And Jesus said, well, follow the commands. And he goes, I do. I got that one buried. Did that. Oh, okay. How about you sell everything you have and follow me? And you'll have treasures in heaven. And the rich young ruler was like, no, not going to happen. Not in a million years. Not even realizing the lesson there, that he had an inordinate attachment to money and to stuff. Like Jesus couldn't provide for him. You really didn't want to get to heaven. You just wanted Jesus to validate yourself. That's what it's not generous to let things outside of yourself boss you, rule over you. You can't be generous if someone's telling. IRS, I don't think my contribution yearly, 4 times a year, to the IRS could be considered as generous. Not if you heard what was going on inside my brain every time I had to send them money. It would be more like sailor talk. It's not an act of generosity to give to the IRS. It's compulsion. And that's what it is. It's eagerness. It's your heart. It's love. It's what God gives you. And then you play with it. This dude is Roger Stone. Or maybe Roger Ross. I'll give him a cool name. Stone is typical. He was a manager at a really highfalutin stock thing. And his boss trusted him with everything. And Roger, well, you'll see in Luke 16 right there in this story, there was a certain rich man who had a manager, and Roger Stone was the manager, handling his affairs. One day a report came to them that the manager was wasting his employees' money. So the employer called him and said, "What's this I hear about you, Roger? Get all your stuff together, all your accounts together, get them in order because you're going to be fired." And that's Roger. He's kicking it. That's the steps of where he works. Didn't know what to do. He said, if you read the story in the Bible, he says, "Well, I'm too old to dig holes. And I'm too proud to beg. How can I survive in this world now that I've lost my cush job where I was scraping money left and right?" So what Roger did, he came up with this great plan. He handled the accounts for the rich dude. So he went to account number 1 and said, "How much do you owe my boss?" And the guy said, I owe him like $5 million. He said, "You know what? Cut it down to $2.5 million. That's what you owe him now." The guy was like, "Dude, yeah. How much do you," he went to account number 2, "how much do you owe my boss?" And he said, "Oh man, I owe him $50 million. He said, "You know what? Make it 30. Make it 30. Here, we'll write it off right now." And so he was totally just being dishonest, right, in our terms. But you know what Jesus said at the end of the story? He said the rich man, the boss, had to admire the dishonest rascal for being so shrewd. And it is true that the children of this world are more shrewd in dealing with the world around them than are the children of the light. People in business are smarter than Christians, is what he's saying when it comes to money. That's what Jesus said, not me. Because they get it. They get it. Money doesn't identify them. Money doesn't identify them. They're after who's Soros, right? Anybody know that dude? He knows what money's about. It's about influence. It's about power. It's about making friends. It's about signing off. Money to him is a tool. And Jesus said, this is verse 9, use your worldly resources to benefit others and make friends, followers of Jesus. But we don't. We see, because when Christians use money, it's to help people who can't pay them back if they use it correctly. But we try to play the game in the business world. We try to scrape and claw and go head to head, and we're going to make money. We're going to make money. We're going to make money. We're not supposed to be that wild. We're not here to make money. We are here to help the poor. The same way Soros influences political ideologies, we are supposed to help people who are marginalized. That's generous. Conniving and scheming, how we're going to suck every last cent out of the people around us that come to the church. That's the world. That's not generosity. That's greed and confusion. Figuring out how we can help our community and the poor people of our community. and the poor people around us, and the families that need help, and the people that are hurting. That's what we do. That's why we work. That's why we work. It says at the bottom of your sheet, Paul was talking about people that were coming out of being in a part of the world. He said, you know what, if you're a thief, quit stealing. Duh. Instead, use your hands for good, hard work. Why? So you could get rich? No. And give generously to others in need. And it's hard in this culture. Christianity doesn't fly because we're all rich. Doesn't fly. We have no empathy for them. They did it themselves. I took advantage of my opportunities and I wound up a pastor. Ugh. Which one is generous and which one is conniving and filled with compelling? Compilation. I don't think that's the right word. That's what a church is for. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. What's more valuable than the kingdom? What's more valuable than the kingdom? Which one is generous? Going head to head with the world's satanic business model? Or following Jesus and his example and Paul? I don't know. I'm not trying to answer questions, just trying to figure out what generosity is. What generosity is. 1 Timothy 6:17-9 kind of gives an example. It's, teach those who are rich in the world not to be proud and not to trust in their money. And isn't that the key to this whole thing about giving away your money, giving away everything, and really generosity? What do you love more than anything that you won't share? Where's your heart's affections? That's what it all boils down to. What it all boils down to. Why won't you forgive people? Why won't you be peaceful? Why won't you be merciful? What have people done to you that is so darn bad that you can't forgive them? Even if you never get a chance to forgive them face to face, why do you keep drinking that poison? Their trust should be in God, who richly gives us all we need for our enjoyment. Why does God give us all the stuff we need? For our enjoyment. But no, I know better than God what I need. I know better than God, and I watch it on the news. They tell me what I need. And I read it in the papers. They tell me what I need. And you can tell by how generous you are. Some people have a gift to make money. I'm not one of them. But they do, and they kill it, and they nail it, and it's like, oh my goodness, you're out of control. But you can tell what's going on in their mind by how generous they are. We all take care of our families, right? I watch you people. You love your families, and just like I do, would do anything for them. But what about the church as a group? What about a group of people who say we love Jesus? How much do we love poor people? How much do we love people that don't look like us? How generous are we to them? How open are our front doors to them? That's because that's what we gather for. That's the only reason we gather for. It's to be generous. It's to be loving. It's to be like Jesus. It's to be like Jesus. They should be rich in good works and generous to those in need, always being ready to share with others. By doing this, they will be storing up their treasure as a good foundation for the future they may experience, so that they may experience true life. See, true life is through sacrifice, the cross. But we don't believe that. 100% don't believe that one. I mean, I'll do little sacrifices. I'll do things that don't hurt. because I'm Irish. I don't like pain. But big sacrifices, not going to happen. Too close to my heart, which loves my stuff. You know, that's which one's generous? Because I think when it says use your resources as a way to help the people, I think they're talking about tools. Money is a tool. Everything that this church owns is a tool. Not to serve ourselves, to serve everybody outside the church. The ones who mess things up. And the ones who don't love it like we do, and the ones who spill stuff on our carpets, and all those hideous people that leave doors open and leave lights on and might break something, those are the people. Those are the people we love. Not us. Not us. Not us. What fun is it to watch a church die? How generous are we? How generous are we as a church family? Do we understand that this building is a tool? It's a tool. The gymnasium is a tool. My house is a tool because it's part of the church house. Come on over. Sure, after working 12 hours today, I want to have another dinner with y'all. And I do. I love all you. But honestly, after you're done working all day, you really want to put on a dinner for people? If you think about it, if your selfish part of your heart said something, no, dude. I want to rest. But I know that's not the heart that Jesus gave me. The heart that Jesus gave me is to put up with people who will spill stuff on carpets and won't turn off the lights and leave the refrigerator door open and drive the car too far and don't pick up after themselves, those dirty, scummy people. That's not the heart Jesus gave us. That's not the heart. And you know, when you don't see generosity, you don't see people. It dwindles away. It's a tool. Everything we've been given is a tool. Every word that comes out of your mouth is a way for you to help glorify God. Every thought you have in your head is something to fight that comes from the world. Every thought that the media gives you, you should fight. Unless it's your team that's looking for votes, then they're right. This team over here, they're wrong. That's the kingdom Jesus was talking about. Doesn't matter. Does the fact, what it says in 2 Corinthians 8, you know the generous grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, right? Though he was rich and had everything and was God according to Philippians, yet for your sakes, for you, he became poor. Would you do that for him? He did it for you. Would you do it for him? I mean, I wouldn't. I don't have to. So that by his poverty, because he lived a life of poverty, he could make you rich. He could make you rich. How cool is that? He was willing to come to earth and to forego being God and be nailed to a cross and be spit on and be disrespected and be hurt and become poor and become impoverished and live in poverty so that you could become rich and get the kingdom. What do you do back for him? And he's given you stuff. He's not going to let you go all the way, He's not asking you to give up everything you have. He's asking you to cleanse your heart so that you can love each other. So that you can love each other in this post-COVID, God-forsaken communities and world we live in of isolation and shallow thoughts and conversations. And do you know what I mean? Am I the only one who lives in this world? It's just, he just wants to love you, and he wants us to love each other. He wants us to love each other. He became poor so that we could be rich. That's kind of generous to me. That's an example of being generous. He didn't have to. He did it because he's generous. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll tell you what matters. We'll do happy birthday after this. After this, we'll do happy birthday. Before you're... No way I'm singing with this on. You're all singing with me, by the way. You know what matters? Is that I wish you all happy trails. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling till then. Who cares about the clouds? We're together to sing a song, bring the sun and weather. Happy trails to you. I forgot my music was over here. Okay, here we go. Ready? Let's do it again. And I'm going to even have this on, except I'm going to put this over here. There we go. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling till then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together to sing a song and bring the sun and weather? Happy trail to you until we meet again. I got to work on the ending. We're going to sing happy birthday right now to Mary Bailey and to Todd. Go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mary and Todd. Happy birthday to you. My prayer for all of us this week is that we are just more generous. Not compelled, generous. And now, the real happy trails. Amen. Have a great week.